Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to the gym, your time in the gym here at the Growing Your Mindset podcast with Adam Diaz and normally Justin Hoke. But today we are joined by my good brother, good friend, Isaac Smith. He's been, I guess, a regular at this point, right? And so
Yes, sir.
Justin actually, as he mentioned last week, he was heading to Florida for Disney World vacation. So they were going to celebrate and have a family vacation. And he thought he was going to be able to juggle both, but it turns out that he wasn't going to be able to make it. So he let me know as soon as possible on Friday, hey, look, I'm not going to be able to make it. So we were able to. Isaac has been so gracious to give us his time, to lend his time this week. He's going to be joining me all week, and we are going to have some phenomenal conversation. I'm looking forward to it. Welcome, brother.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here, Adam.
Yes, yes. And everybody who is hopping on right now, good morning. Good morning, Mom. I am so glad to have everybody here who is piling in and who is watching later on, because I think this topic here that we're going to be talking about is so critical. It's so important for us to talk about, and I don't think it's talked about enough. And especially how timely it is, since yesterday was Father's Day, right? And so, happy Father's Day to all the fathers. Happy Father's Day, Isaac.
Thank
And
you.
we see that fathers are important, right? Fathers are important. They make up a crucial part in our families. Whether we had a good father or bad father, it shaped the way we are, right? Or no father at all, right? And so we want to talk about this morning the idea of not only fathers but husbands, and this idea of what a man actually is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And thank you, Adam. I'm glad, and happy Father's Day to you as well. Uh, and you I want to just let the world know that you are among the one of the top tier in good fathers or great fathers. So I really appreciate that. It takes a level of discipline, a level of love to be the father that you are on the level that you are with your family and your kids. The good book said a tree is known by the fruit it bears. So when I look at your wife and your kids, I see you, and that is a good thing. When I see those great qualities in them, is that are found in you. So I just want to give you your flowers here for being a great father. I know that we don't get no award for doing what is right, but I definitely want to tell you keep it up, because I have learned a lot from you from being a father, but more importantly, man, I learned a lot of qualities from you as being a man first, and I think that's what set the tone for us being a father, is who we are as a man.
Yeah, yeah. And
So
go ahead.
so what do you think the mindset of a man should be?
Man, great question, because I think there's so much confusion about what a man should be, what roles they play, and how they ought to behave and navigate the life, what they should hold important. And I think, for me, uh, the the things that, when we look at how men are depicted in social media or Hollywood and the movies and TV, we kind of get the wrong idea. We for one thing, we only see, when we're looking at movies or something, we're only seeing one side of one story kind of thing, and it's portrayed in a certain way. But when we look at a whole, like holistically, what a man is, it's way more than what we just see on the superficial level. And when we look at, I guess when we see, the world tells us so many things about what a man should be. And when I look at, even when I leave the Bible out of it and don't look at those things, and I just look at my life experience and I look at these things, you can see the direction that the country is going because of what the world is telling us that men should be. And that men should be, kind of emotionless, that men should be um, just the breadwinners, and they're not really involved with the family. And that's the woman's, that's the wife's job to like take care of the family and these things. And I think that if we, the men are the sails and the men are the rudders of the ship. We have to take that energy and sail us in the right direction.
Man, I love that. I love that, man. And I just want to build on it is that some of the key ingredients from for being a man or going into manhood is discipline. Like discipline is a really foundational key for men. And to go with discipline, the reason why you need discipline because you're going to need that for your vision and your purpose.
Yeah.
A man without a purpose and without vision is a man that is soon is going to the road of destruction. They Men self-destruct when they don't know where they're going and they don't see the purpose in their life. And when you got ladies, if you got a man that does not have a purpose for his life, that's a man you do not want to be with because my grandfather used to say, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. So that's a man that will be able to be led in all over the place, through his desires, through what he see. He's gonna mimic the world. He's gonna be here. But a man says, using discipline says, I need a plan.
Yeah.
I need a plan for my life. I need a vision for my life. What am I going to do? And what am I purpose to do in this life? And first, other men help young men to figure out what is their role. Why am I here? What is my purpose? And older men can tell younger men, you need to first be disciplined and you need to have a moral character and compass about yourself that you're willing to. A man is willing to stand up and say, no, I can't do that because this is wrong. Yeah. And I think that's the first mindset that a man needs is a moral compass to say, I will do this and I will not do that.
For sure, for sure. And I love this idea of discipline and vision because in this show, we talk a lot about clarity. We talk a lot about vision, and rightly so, because like you just said, if you don't have vision, any road will take you there. Like if you don't have a direction, but at the same time, if you don't have a direction, you'll never get there. Wherever there is, you'll never make it. And so what that happens, that translates into, like you said, men chasing after all sorts of gold and glitter, all sorts of things that look shiny. And rather than basing our directions and our decisions upon this idea of a moral compass, this idea of like, I need to be disciplined in those things that I do, not only because we have a moral responsibility to be, positive and beneficial and helpful in our society, but we have people that depend on us. We have people, whether we have a family or not, we have people looking at us. I was just talking to a young man today or yesterday at my congregation. He came down to visit. He's 21 years old, and we actually had him preach this past Sunday. And he's come down a few times. He lives in Alabama. He comes down for training for the Air Force, and he has a motorcycle, and he's a young guy, and the kids love him. And even though he was only here for a few months last year and here for a month, they talk about Elijah all the time. Once a week, they're saying something about Elijah and something this, and he wasn't really even in that involved with the kids, but they're watching him and they're seeing what he's doing and they're seeing how cool he is with his motorcycle. But what else was he doing? He was preaching the word of God. He was singing with gusto. He was leading in a very well thoughtful way, right? And not only do they see this cool stuff, they see what he's doing as well. And we never know. And this is the conversation I was having. You never know who's watching you. You never know who's looking at you. And those things that may be insignificant for us in our lives can be so profound and impactful for others. And so something that may have just been a blip in our world, in our life, in our memories, could be a pivotal moment for somebody else. And that's why it's so important for us to have discipline, to have vision.
Absolutely. And I want to build on discipline. I think the second thing a man needs is submission. I know we don't talk about submission a lot when it dealing to men.
Word in the United States, especially for men.
Right. But actually, to be a great man, you need to learn submission.
Right.
Or coupled with submission leads you to humility and to be humble and to be meek. So the way you do that, you have to. Anytime I see a man that says he's self-made, he did everything himself, that's a dangerous man.
Mm.
Because a great man is a man that learns to sit at the feet of someone wiser, someone older. You need a mentor. And so why you think God put parents over your life? They're your first mentors, and then you develop even more. And so when I look at my life, Adam, is that I had a lot of great people. Alexander Caldwell, he was a preacher at the church. He mentored me and my twin brother and another guy. My dad would bring us over there. He'll play basketball with us, and we would just sit at his feet and just learn not only about the Bible, but just about life.
Yeah.
And he began to tell us, like, as you live life, when you do what is right, you're going to have some ridicule. You're going to have this happen. But if you stick to it, you're going to gain a lot of respect. And so what I realized, Adam, is that in school, a lot of people may not appreciate me standing from God then, but now, Adam, they say, man, we wish we would have been more like you.
Yeah.
We man, you always been a leader. Like my mom tell me all the time, they come to her work and say, man, you got some fine young men. Some they are great. They've been leaders ever since high school, and middle school. But the reason why I'm able to be a leader is because I was able to follow.
Yeah.
So all I did was follow what my dad did. I followed what other preacher did. I followed what Mike did, Steve did, and I watched great men do great things. And so guess what? I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I just walk in that example.
That's
and
right.
So that's what makes it easier about, being a man, if you can have discipline and then have submission, as well.
And so I think submission, though, we need to further clarify that, because we can't just be submitting to anything. We can't just be following anything, because a lot of times we need to not give up, right? We need to not follow. But what you're saying here is following wise counsel, following those things that are tried and true to be good and wholesome. And when we look at, like, we can usually tell, like, even if you haven't been taught right, like, you can usually tell what's going to be the right paths. And we can see these things as far as the life people live, and being, having these mentors, right? Having these people in our lives and understanding from a young age, it's good to receive and listen to wise counsel. Like, this is so important, because there's so many people out there that's going to try to give us their opinion, that's going to give us unwise counsel. And there's so many people that follow this, and we see the decisions and the results of that. And so when we're looking at submission, we're submitting first off to the purpose, to our mission, to God, and then the purpose and mission of our families, if we have families. And if not, there are other purposes, there's other missions. We have to know what those things are clearly, and we have to take the time to realize those things. And like you said, what happens after that, when we see there's a purpose, there's a grander scheme, man, that humbles us. Humbles us to the point where we know that we didn't do this on our own. Like Andrew Carnegie once said, and I think it's said that it's on his tombstone, here lies a man who was able to surround himself with people smarter than him. I'm paraphrasing, but this idea of us surrounding ourselves with a team, knowing that we need help in this life, keeps us from making bad decisions. Because a lot of times, even if you're doing all the right things and you're wise, you're usually not wise by yourself. You have a council, right? You have people that you rely on. Even the wisest presidents and leaders of the world, they have a cabinet members, right? They have all these people they go to for advice that will challenge their thinking. And this is where we need to be. We can't make it on our own.
Right. And that's why the Bible says iron sharpens iron. You need, in order to be the best version of yourself, you need someone that is either stronger than you, that is going to be able to sharpen you there. And I love what you said about, submitting to the right thing. So that goes to something that the Bible says, that a tree is known by the fruit it bears.
Yep.
So we're supposed to be fruit inspectors. As men, you got to know how to inspect fruit. I want you to think about the concept there. He did not say a tree is known by the leaves it bears. It says fruit. And you know why he said fruit and not leaves? Because leaves come up quickly. Fruit take time. So if you judge a tree by its leaf, you can misdiagnose or think that this tree is another tree when it's not.
Yeah.
But if you judge its fruit, there's no mistake in that. So in other words, being a man is a man that is slow to make decision off of limited information.
Hmm.
So a part about being a man is that we learn to sit back and gather all the information before we move. And so we're called to be fruit inspectors. So we inspect the fruit, and then we determine whether or not we're going to make a decision on the basis of that or not. There. So I just wanted to add to that. And what are your thoughts on that?
So, man, I love this idea of, any illustration that has to do with horticulture and agriculture, I love. So this idea of fruit and how it takes a long time. And not only that, we can back up a little bit, because the way that fruit is made is we have a flower, right? And that flower has to be pollinated. And so whether that's wind or insects or birds or animals, like there has to be a pollination process. Most of the time, the fruit isn't going to self-pollinate. There's sometimes, but most of the time we're talking about here. So there's other external forces, the factors that we have to take into consideration, which brings us back to the point we were making before. We need to surround ourselves with people that are smarter than us. If we're the smartest person in the room, we're in the wrong room. And this idea of being fruit inspectors, there is this popular, and I think a misconception in the world, this general idea that we shouldn't be judging people. Especially when you look at, oh, you're a Christian, you don't have a right to judge me, or whatever it is. And I think that this is an error, because we always are making judgment calls. Like it's what we do, and we have to make the right judgment. And this is where the problem is. We have to judge righteously. And this is where you learn that skill on how to be a fruit inspector. And the only way you can do this is having those values, is having that direction. Because if we have a standard and says, okay, this is what the fruit looks like, we're measuring it by that standard. This is what our family should look like. This is how we should behave. This is how our interactions with the older mentors in our life should be. And when we understand what the standard is, that fruit, then we can compare it to what we're making. Okay, this needs some more improvement here.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right, man. I love that. I love your expertise in the horticulture there, man. Look, you told me something about, when we was talking about problems, and you was like, I think I said that when people are drinking and smoking, those are just symptoms to a greater problem. And then you gave me an example about, you said, you need to look at the roots and fix the roots. Can you expound on what you talked about, how to fix the soil? So men, really listen up, ladies, really listen up on this example of how to fix things that are broken inside of men.
Yes, and this goes for everything, but we're talking about what is a man. We're talking about these ideas here, and a lot of times those qualities, those characteristics that are undesirable, and those behaviors and actions that we see are just the symptoms of a greater underlying problem, that root. And when we're looking at it, we'll take this same illustration of a tree, and we have these leaves that are undesirable. They're falling off, they're withering, they're yellowed. How do you address those leaves? You can't paint them. Like, we can't pluck them or do anything like that. We have to get to the root. We have to address the root. But the only way that we can get to the roots of the tree is to amend the soil. And amending the soil is just adding things. Like, we're just adding nutrients. We're adding different kinds of supplements to the soil. And so for us as men, and for our counterparts, whether you're a wife or just a woman that lives in a world with men, like, there's so many things that we need to understand. So as far as like the good amendments for proper relationships. And when we have a greater understanding, especially the women have a greater understanding of how, not only how a man thinks, because I don't think that's the proper way to do it. It's how a man should think. right? The proper nutrients that we need. If you look at a fertilizer bag, it says NPK on it, right? It has like these certain ratios of these main ingredients that a plant needs, and it's the same for our lives. And so for men, we have so many different things that we need in our lives. And one of those things is like what we're talking about here, this idea of discipline, right? This idea of vision, this idea of submission. And when we're adding these things to the soil, guess what happens? Our leaves start producing healthy, which helps the plant grow, which produces greater fruit and more healthy fruit. And so when we're addressing it the roundabout way, because it's usually a losing battle to try to fight somebody on the symptoms, to try to help somebody fix the symptoms. That's like if you're having a headache, Isaac, and I say, "Oh, Isaac, your head hurts. Here, just take some aspirin." And I don't even ask you like, have you eaten anything today? Did you sleep? Are you drinking water? Because usually, when I have a headache, it's like I'm dehydrated and I just need to drink some water. But if I never get to the root of what it is, and I'm just taking aspirin all the time, that's never going to help actually eliminate the headache.
Absolutely. And I think that that's what a lot of men are doing. Instead of fixing the problem, they're actually taking aspirins, and like some of the things that they use alcohol, they use drugs, they use sex, they use a lot of these different things that does not fix the problem, but it gives them temporary relief.
Yeah.
But a part of being a man, going back to that discipline, we got to realize like we need to be able to put off gratification, and knowing that those are just temporary relief. They're not going to give me permanent results. And your example is so great, and that's why I wanted to piggyback on this point, is that how the Bible defined a good man. He put good in front of an adjective in front of the noun, which is a man is expected to be good. And you know how you can determine if a man is good, Adam?
How's that?
Is from his vision and the way that he does things from a day-to-day basis. So, all right, I'm gonna give you some good things in the Bible. It says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children. So that speaks to a man that what makes him good is that he's always thinking for his descendants. So that means that he's forward thinking into the next generation and the next generation to make sure that they have provision. So he's not only providing for himself and his children, but he's working in such a way that he's going to provide for his grandchildren and great grandchildren. That's a good man. We heard of the story of the Good Samaritan. The Good Samaritan is a man that found another man in dire need, and he took care of him and told the inn to say, if he have any other expenses, I would take care of it, however long he need to stay there. So a good man now is not only portrayed in how well he take care of his family, but also how well he take care of his community or his environment around him. So not only what makes him good is that he's a provision not only to his household, but he's a provision. He's a provider even for his community and those that are around him. So think about a man that have enough money to do that for people. That means that this is a man that has to plan, that's very disciplined, very structured, very organized, and has the ability to provide all these things for other people. So a good man is a man that does not think about himself only.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And I love this idea of long-term thinking. And this was, I think, something that I struggled with for so long in my life. And I always wanted to do many things, and I would refrain from doing them and trying them and learning them because I saw how long it was going to take. And so I was always jumping from one get rich scheme to another. And what actually happened was you get broke quick is what happens when you're trying to get rich quick. And so when we're looking long term, and and this is where my mind started shifting to. I was realizing, man, I would only change my car tires when I get a flat. And it was an emergency, right? I'd only get gas when the gas light comes on. And I was like, wow, I'm living my whole life like this, you know, from emergency to emergency, fire to fire. And the moment I stopped looking directly in front of me and I started looking a little bit farther down the road, wow, strategy started appearing. It's like, okay, well, if I just do this now, or if I do this in 2 weeks, and now I'm looking at, okay, well, I need to change my tires and my car, you know, in about 3 months instead of, you know, waiting until, oh, that one's about to blow. And when we're looking this way and we're looking more long term, we start seeing, we start looking in years instead of in days. A lot of times we look day to day, we live paycheck to paycheck, and but when we start looking years and decades and even generations, our timeline changes, so our perspective changes, and so our decisions here and now, day to day, change.
Yep. I'm gonna leave the audience with this because I know we're about to wrap up. Uh, Success without self-discipline leads to self-destruction.
Mm.
And here's the 4 motivating reasons why people change. Or
Say that one more time. Say that one more time. That quote there.
success without self-discipline leads to self-destruction. So, all right. And then I'm gonna give you the 4 motivating reasons why people change here. So, reason number 1: people change when they hurt enough they have to. Reason number 2: people change when they see enough they are inspired to. Number 3: people change when they learn enough they want to. And number 4: people change when they receive enough they are able to.
Mm. Man, I love these perspectives because, you know, when we look at this idea of these seasons, these motivating factors for change, and a lot of times we need to be in pain, like to change. A lot of times we have to see things, we have to, you know, things that we can't unsee, and we're inspired by it, we're motivated by it, and when we learn enough, when we have that information, that knowledge, now we have to do something with that. We feel obligated, right? We have to do something with this information. And when we receive, when we have plenty of resources, sometimes with the other ones, we're not able to, even if we want to, right? But when we have enough resources, then we are able to. And man, I love that. So well said.
Yeah. And man, I just want to tell your audience, go to our YouTube. The Dear Daddy part 1, Kevin, has just been released. So Dear Daddy is about how men struggle in silence, and it's a really good series. So go see part 1 on the JOL network on the YouTube channel, and just go to the playlist called Dear Daddy and watch part 1. It's part 2 will probably be out in another week or so, and it's deal with Glenn, his son. So it's gonna be amazing.
Tell us a little bit about this book. So Isaac just wrote this book, and it's all about men. It's all different chapters have different characters. So tell us a little more about Dear Daddy.
All right. So what I did was I observed all the men that was around me, and I looked at their lives. So actually, a lot of these characters are actually real people that I know around me, that I have met, that's been around me. And so I seen the struggle of, from watching my father, from watching my uncles, from watching close friends, people in the community. So I looked at their lives and I started to see a commonality of things that they suffer with. And one of the common things that they never really talked about their problem. I think my dad is like the only one that really began to talk about his problems and what he struggled with in silence. And I thought that was the difference between my dad and a lot of other men. And so I said, you know what, I'm gonna tell their stories so that it can probably help save other men to stop holding things in silence and stop doing things in secret that are slowly tearing you down and killing you, you know. And it's good to talk about these things out loud and be vulnerable, you know. And that's one thing about humility, is that you got to humble yourself to be able to say, hey, I'm dealing with, you know, alcohol, I'm dealing with sex, I'm dealing with this. And it's hard to be able to as men to vocalize what we're not doing well in. We like to hide that from the world and only show people what we do well in, you know, and that's the social media culture that we living in. So
Yeah, man. And I really appreciate your work in this area, because it's so needed for us to be able to understand, because so many times we only see neither the good side or the bad side, and we don't understand the whole thing. And so I hope that this episode here, especially for the ladies, I know we have a lot of ladies that listen and that follow our show and that tune in, but this is important for all of us to understand. There's so many misconceptions about what a man is, what a man should be, and these things that we're focusing on here, these higher level things, like this is, it doesn't matter what we do, right? The details and like the professions and how we put these things in action. But as long as we have these higher level ideas, like we have to have direction, like we have to have vision, we have to be able to submit and be good followers to be good leaders. And when we understand these simple yet complicated qualities, and we start building and developing these, that's when we can make a really profound impact on our world.
Yep, ladies, I want to give you something that my wife been doing since I released this series. One of the things that she makes sure that she do on a daily basis with me, she asks me, "How are you doing today?" And she stops me like, "No, how are you doing? Like, how are you doing mentally? How are you doing spiritually? Like, let's talk about this." And that really helped me, because sometimes I can identify with Kevin. I started to feel lonely and not appreciated. But when she started to ask those questions, it allowed for me to be vulnerable with her. And now that create intimacy, and we are able to be closer and closer. Our marriage has been phenomenal because of she been just simply asked the question, "How are you doing today?" And that means the world to me, because it says to me that you care about me.
Yeah.
So ladies, if you got men, sons, brothers, uncles, dads, just ask them on a routine basis, "How are you doing?" And they're going to give a generic answer until they realize that you're really there because you care for them, and you're asking only because you care and not because, you're trying to tear them down. So,
man, and I love this, because a lot of times we'll give that generic answer because we haven't even thought of it ourselves. Like we have so much going on, we're just go go go. And this idea, like, how's it going? It's like, oh, it's fine. No, really. And then we have to stop and think, is it okay? What's going on? And it's like, yeah, okay. And for Angie and everybody else who is interested in checking out more of the Journey of Life Network, I just posted in the chat also the YouTube channel, and as well as Dear Daddy Part 1 with Kevin. And so this is amazing. Thank you so much, Isaac, for coming on and talking about this such an important subject of mindset, and how we as men need to be, but also how our women can help support us, right?
Yep.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to jump into these affirmations and send you guys off into the world today. Again, everybody, thank you so much for coming in and tuning in with us and participating in the chat and all that. We love you guys so much, and we will be back same time, same channel tomorrow. And I believe we're going to be talking about the marriage relationship, mindset and marriage. So be sure to tune into that. It's going to be action-packed. And Isaac, again, always wonderful to talk with you. Looking forward to talking with you tomorrow, my man.
Yes, sir.
So let's go ahead and jump into these affirmations, and we'll get everyone going. So I'm usually not manning everything here, so I'm getting better at it, though. I'm definitely getting better at it. So here we go. So today, I am committed to my growth.
I am committed to my growth.
I am loved, appreciated, blessed, and highly favored.
I am loved, appreciated, blessed, and highly favored.
Challenges are opportunities for me to improve.
Challenges are opportunities for me to improve.
Every day, I am getting better and better.
Every day, I am getting better and better.
I am my best investment.
I am my best investment.
Life happens for me. Everything is for my growth and benefit.
Life happens for me. Everything is for my growth and benefit.
I am an action taker.
I am an action taker.
Yeah. I am committed to being the most positive person that I know.
I am committed to being the most positive person that I know.
I am a fixer. I am somebody's answer. When you get me, you get everything that I'm connected to.
I am a fixer. I am somebody answer. When you get me, you get everything I am connected to. Amen.
All right. And we've added one more in here. We don't have a slide for it, but I am healthy, wealthy, and wise.
I am supremely healthy, wealthy, and wise. In
Yeah, let's
Jesus' name.
go. In Jesus' name. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
go. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you guys, man. It's another amazing episode in the books here. And so don't forget, everybody, please like and subscribe. And if this is valuable for you, if you know of anybody that may benefit from this episode, please share it, send it over to them. And as always, have a phenomenal day, and we will catch you guys on the next one. All right, Isaac, don't hop off yet. All right. All right,
I
you
won't.
guys. All right, here, let's see if I can do this right here.